if you try to find another word or you try to phrase it more simply, you actually sound more pretentious. Like if you go, oh, I'm a storyteller, people are like, sure, you know what I mean? I work in the theater. Oh, okay, you work in the theater. So I'm like, okay, artist, that's fine.
Right, because we all have to be multi-hyphenate anyways. Hi, I'm KP Powell, the director of Romeo and Juliet.
Hello, and I'm Aidan O'Reilly, director of the Two Gentlemen of Verona at the American Shakespeare Center.
I'm there too. What was your first impression of the Two Gentlemen of Verona?
You know, it's weird actually. Two Gentlemen of Verona was the first Shakespeare play I ever saw live. I was about 7, I think. I ran the story past my dad the other day and I had all my dates wrong. I thought I was older, but I was 7 and it was in Sonoma, California, and this was back before Sonoma was accepted into the kind of French wine scene essentially. So all the vineyards used to be owned by families rather than corporations. And consequently, they had a lot more investment in the community. So all the vineyards used to have professional to semi-professional Shakespeare companies. So you'd sit outside and, you know, I was a kid, so I didn't, but everyone else is drinking wine and, you know, it's really beautiful out. And Two Gentlemen of Verona, my dad took me to see that and I loved it mostly because of Crab the dog, of course, who was a basset hound. And the guy who played Lance ended up being a dear friend of mine. His name was Mickey Martin. And he was like 70, I think, when they did it. And he was from the Bronx. I can't do a New York accent to save my life, but the dog's actual name was Killer. So he'd be like, Killer, off stage, and this little basset hound would come running up. But the woman who ran that company, Kate Kennedy, she's still running it today. My dad took me up to meet her. She was sitting at one of the tables at intermission, and we just started talking. And then I ended up working for her from when I was about 11 to 18, 19. I played Festi for her, and actually when I played Hamlet, she was Gertrude. So I kind of ended up growing up with this troupe. So I have a very sentimental attachment to the play that has nothing to do with the story whatsoever. So whenever it comes up, Two Gentlemen, oh, I love that play. It makes me like really happy, and a lot of folks go, really? Okay.
Like, oh, you like, well, I the experience that I had. No,
so that was my first experience with it. Yeah. And then years later, I played Crab for Kate. And I loved that. Had a big fur coat and was just eating a chicken leg the whole
Is this outdoors?
Yeah, outdoors. Yeah.
Oh, man.
A big fur coat and a t-shirt underneath. So it was like super, it actually wasn't bad. Maybe it was just a vest, actually. It was a big fur vest, now that memory. And then many years after that, actually, I played Valentine in a production that they did at, I forget the name of the place. It was in Petaluma, but it's one of the oldest buildings in Cal. It dates back to like the 1800s, and like General Vallejo and stuff. So they kind of set it in that kind of era where the Bear Flag Republic was getting declared and stuff. So it had kind of a Western vibe to it. And it's funny because, again, as you're figuring my memory is shocking at the best of times. So it's funny hearing Joe, who's our Valentine, say all these lines. I'm like, I have no memory saying that. That's beautiful. I don't remember saying that at all. So right? It's funny to kind of rediscover it.
No, yeah, it's a lot of the memorable and great lines from a lot of his plays can get lost in the controversy, which isn't wrong. Like, they are controversial.
Yeah,
it's just that even when being controversial, his ability to like write humans still shines.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, yeah, in Two Gents, there's so many great moments where it's like, but that is just a human thing that happens. Like he's like latched onto.
Yeah.
But of course, that doesn't overshadow anything else that happens. To stay on you. Oh no, you have a question.
Have you been in Two Gents though? Have you done?
I was in it here.
No kidding.
Yeah. So my first season here was Romeo and Juliet, Two Gentlemen of Verona, and Our Town.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, that's funny. Who did you play in Two Gents?
I was Pantino.
Oh, Pantino.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was him and the first outlaw.
Oh, cool.
And
Izzy, who's our Pantino, is also the first outlaw as well. That's kind of wild, yeah.
The doubling, it still works. But yeah, and we were doing the thing that y'all are doing, the same thing with partnering with a shelter.
Oh, very cool. Yeah,
but it was on tour, so we had to like partner with the shelter they like pre-plan like where we were gonna be. and like bring in the dogs so that they could get used to us and see. And then if it didn't work, then Ron would play crab. But like, yeah, we got a lot of dogs adopted that way.
That's
and it was,
awesome.
But it was always funny because, you know, the dog is going to do what it wants to do. And sometimes it was so perfect because there's something in like when the Krabby, the sourest natured dog that ever lived, where he just went, "Arr," and you're like, oh, you can't.
Yeah.
We can't tie. If we could get that to happen every time, like we would, and sitting down where it was like, lost the house, where it was like, it was, and so yeah, but I've only done it the one time. And
yeah. Oh, that's what. Who were you in R&J?
I was Paris and Samson. So I was in all the fights.
Yeah.
And we had a bigger cast. So like when I died, I had to stay on stage.
Yep.
And yeah, if you've ever died on stage in any Shakespeare plays, he loves to give you a monologue right before, everyone, I'm dead and I'm dying. And then be like, but now I'm going to lay here while someone talks about me being dead. And so you're just there with Romeo, like doing his whole, like, let me take my sweet time dying. And then the friar comes in to explain. And then Juliet gets up and has her whole death monologue. And then all the family discovers. And then the friar has to explain to them what happened. And yeah, it ends up being 16 minutes of just laying there. And so I told Andrew Goldwasser, who was playing the friar, I was like, hey, every time you come to check my body, I need you to just touch me. Just anywhere, because sometimes Romeo in his haste would like put me up against the like, where just like your neck is, and I'm like, I can't stay like this for 16 minutes, and the friar would come and be like, oh, Paris too, and I'd be like, oh no, you touched. I would just find any reason to be like, oh, body flopped, and now I can, because otherwise it would be just like too awful. And I kept telling Josh, who played Romeo, like to think about it, but of course in the moment one time he just spent too much time trying to like get me right, where I was like, all right, never mind, just the play can't pause for them to like watch Romeo try to put Paris. And so yeah, that was my first season here, and so it's so serendipitous to be like now directing that show here.
So my second tour, the R&J, I was Paris and Gregory, just to keep things, different.
Oh, I love Paris.
He's a really nice guy. And I remember, I don't know what Jim Warren, who was directing it, had Romeo, Josh Carpenter, drag me off into the discovery space, but my feet were still visible in the doorway, so I still had to lie there. I remember being like, Jim, can't you have him just
Can I just get all the way out?
2 feet more, and I can go have a cup of coffee downstairs. You know what I mean? Like, and I remember once.
I need those feet.
Yeah. And I remember once lying there it was during Christmas time, and having a terrible cough, and being like, I can't cough. Like, this is 5 minutes into that 16-minute, slot. I'm like, if I cough now, they're gonna know, obviously. I'm not, and I remember being like, oh, this is hell, not being able to cough. And I would wait till the parents ran past me to go, oh, like as quickly as I could. Yeah. Is that your only time being in R&J? Is this your second time kind of tackling the story, or?
I guess it's my third. I did at the Alliance this in Atlanta. This when I'm the big Shakespeare. What was it called? That when they were trying to get like remixed versions of all the plays.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it was like some movement that was done like a decade back.
The play on thing?
Yes, where they were trying to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna do modern translations of Shakespeare, which I don't like, because it's like, well then just do an adaptation. Like don't translate, like just make an O, make a 10 Things I Hate About You, make a She's the Man, and I promise, and I love all of those.
Yeah, me too.
But anyway, we were doing a reading of it and like helping to workshop it with Hansel Young, who did Wolf Play.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so that was a cool process of being able to advocate kind of for Shakespeare in certain moments where I'm like, no, I'm here to honor what this is supposed to be for like what audiences want, but this right here is not what this means in the original Shakespeare. So we're like, this remix is a change. And do you want that? Because if you don't, and so it was really cool because they were really open to, and they were incredibly smart about the language, because some of that they were like, no, I don't want that because the intent of the scene is for this to happen, and I think that does it in a modern context in the way that, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes, and so that was cool, but that really wasn't helpful for this process of the play. This was more about, like, having been in it, I don't know, it really didn't change my approach because all the factors are different. The setting is different, the bodies are different, the vocal types are different, the hair is like, the world is different. So it's like all the things that were, that one had to go on tour. That one had 3 more actors, right? So like there was no way in which the ratio of new people to returners was different, where a lot more of us were new and on this time there's a lot more returners. And so like I also have that base of them getting to see people work the stage in a way that we all had to be like, oh, we got to figure that out for ourselves. So a lot of the process for me was really about making sure that the actors felt an ownership over the room and over the play, because as you know, it's not a lot of time.
No, it's not.
And
no, it's not.
and I'm not only sharing them with you, I'm sharing them with fights and intimacy and dance. And so there's all this truncated time that we could spend trying to dissect the scenes down and like really deepen it. But then we get you in front of an audience and you're trying to put all the pieces together on the fly, where I was just like, no, let's just keep trying to get through the play consecutively so that we can build up hey, but now we have a foundation that if you wake up for a student matinee and you don't got it that morning, or you're not feel like, but if I just do this, the story is taken care of and the play is good.
Right.
And on the good days when you're rested, you're like, okay, well now I can really we've played around with this monologue, I can really grow, because it also with shorter time, you also have this blessing of long runs here. So it's like, oh, you don't have a 3-week run or a 4-week run, or you have a 3-month run for this thing to really grow. So why would we nitpick down of me saying exactly what I want this monologue to be when it's going to grow and grow and grow? How about we instead make sure we know what the journey of the monologue is, and you can navigate that. So it's like, if we know his torture is about, well, it starts here and then he talks about this, and then from there he goes to this, and so what's your point of view on this, on this, on this, on this, on this? Great. And now as you're going through that, we can start to figure out more and more of, hey, I'm not liking this section. Okay, I think it's because you're coming at it from the point of view of this. Have you thought about that you just murdered Tybalt? Could that be affecting this moment? Oh, how you all right, see, now we can just shift. Now when you're doing it and I'm gone, if you don't like that anymore, you can shift it to, no, I want this to be about Juliet's gonna hate me. And it won't break the play, it won't break your part, it won't break anything. You have the ownership of that, which is hard because it's not a way you normally do theater. And so you can kind of feel rudderless sometimes, where it's like, I keep doing something different every time. Is that okay? And it's like, my job is just going, yes, it is. Because guess what? One time you're going to be doing it and somebody's going to go, don't do it. And you're going to have to be malleable enough to respond to the liveness that is doing it with the lights on and an audience that is a part of the play.
Yep.
And I'm sure you'll edit that because that was a long tangent. Maybe it was interesting. But I know both of us and we can talk.
So was there a moment, having done it twice and once here, in Paris, you do watch a lot of that play, Dead and Alive. Is there a moment that you were dreading to direct, or a moment that you're like, I had to watch this a million times and it never worked, and I have an idea of how to fix it, or and how did that end up playing out, if either was indeed the case?
I mean, I guess one of the answer to both those sides of the question was the masquerade, right? Of just the challenge of having everybody on stage at the same time, and trying to make sure that, since you don't have lighting, how to spotlight the action, but then also how to make it seem organic, but then also knowing, well, I guess, and then there's the other part of always seeing Romeo and Juliet and 60% of them not doing a good job of letting us know that this is a party, and that it is fun, and that it is for her benefit. So and that they have money. And so I was like, oh, I think I can fix some of the let's make this not some Bridgerton ball which makes sense for Shakespeare's time, but for a modern audience of like, what is you know what this is, you know what it is to go to homecoming and everyone's there. You know how it is to go to your friend's birthday party and everyone's just dancing in the backyard and blah, 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 but it's the rich family, so then they got all the best snacks and you get to leave with a little party pack. You're like, this is the best, like that has to feel like this. That was something that I was like, I know I can accomplish that. I think that is the thing that is important to the story, that this night feel like a great night, so that Juliet has a reason to still be up thinking about the night she had. Not just that she met Romeo, but that all of it is like, no, I'm wired. And so I was like, I know I can fix that. But I was dreading the like, okay, well, how do I, no, I think we need to move you that far. Oh, no, sorry. They can bleep it out. They're good. I didn't finish. There was no final consonant. I just said it was like an O Shakespeare. I didn't. So, it's just like how instead of
Yeah.
but yeah, like that was, but it went pretty well. And then Corey came in like, yeah, just, and we're still fuddling with it because there's still moments that it's just like, well, no, but this isn't hitting, and it's like, because it's so pivotal.
Yeah.
Right. It is like, this is the moment they meet. And this is the moment they do the sonnet together. Like the whole rest of the play has to start here with us going, yep, those two should be, those two belong. And so, yeah, there's a lot of like pressure on it, but there was also certain parts of it that we have that I'm like, no, I know that these parts are important and linked, and the audience will see them.
And is that, to kind of piggyback on that, is that why you chose to set it kind of around Y2K, to make it more of to kind of tap into the nostalgia that the audience, like, so that the audience might feel, oh, I've been Romeo. Oh, I've been.
Yeah, it was because when I was thinking about the play and having talked to Vanessa Marasco about Romeo and Juliet, and knowing that it was going to be like predominantly the show for like all the student matinees, I was like, okay, well, I don't want any pumpkin paint. I don't want any silhouette that's going to make them initially go like, oh, see, this isn't for me. This is that stuff. It's like, if you're going to introduce someone to like black and white movies, you got to start with like It's a Wonderful Life. You got to start with some of the ones that make it easier to sit through a Casablanca. I was thinking, and I was like, all right, I started with like the 60s and just kind of kept moving up decade by decade, like analyzing events or what was happening. And I got to the idea of like, I think for this current Gen Z, Alpha, whatever name they are at this age that will be coming, that probably anything past the 80s will feel too old. So I was like, all right, 80s to now. And then I was like, well, now I just don't want to do, because technology ruins this play.
Yeah.
And so like, all right, so we're going to get down to this. And then I was going through the 80s, the 90s, and the early 2000s. And when I got to that early 2000s, that's when I was looking in, like, hip hop was taking off. Eminem was the biggest artist in the world. Get Rich or Die Trying by 50 Cent came out. Spoken word was everywhere. All the Disney Channel, Lizzie McGuire's or this or that had a character suddenly showing up wanting to do slam poetry, right? And so I was like, oh yeah, so that was a period of Freestyle Friday was on BET, starting that whole trend. It was just a time in life when like words were currency socially in the same way they were for Shakespeare. Like, it was beneficial if you could rap. If you could freestyle rhymes together, it was impressive. If you could write poetry, and like it was impressive. And so just having a vocabulary was impressive in like a thing that, just like as a young boy at the time, like you're like, oh, if I want to get a girl and I write a poem, like I stand out. And that felt like a lot of pulling out what's already in the play, with how often everyone is taking each other's language and using it, and how it's all like, I am too sore and piercing, which, oh, well, I will, you are, like, do this and do, and it's like, oh, if you're going to say that, like pink for flower, yeah, well, then it's my pump, well, flower, oh, okay, well, then, and it's like they're constantly showing that, like, my wit is valuable to be around because of how I can use language. And so I just decided, I was like, all right, well, then that's the time. We're going to set it off that, based off the language. And then once I started exploring the other things to build around it, it's where I got all nostalgic of like, all right, well, yeah, but then we got to add in the posters. We got to add in the types of alcohol that were popular. We got to add in
What
like
alcohol was popular? I'm trying to remember now.
Everclear.
Oh God, right.
Fireball.
Oh, I've suppressed memories of that. Yeah. Oh, right.
We got a bottle of UV blue out there because you're young and so you're like,
yeah,
it's blue, like
oh.
the Kool-Aid of it all. And so, but then I also, because when I was going to the 90s, part of it I was making sure like this isn't for you, right? Like this isn't you be like I love the 90s. And so I ended up moving into the early 2000s because I thought it would also be a good place for our more adult or evening patron audiences outside of school performances to have that other way in, right? So that on the younger side, they were having that's a silhouette that I'm seeing coming back as people are starting to bring low rise back and middle parts versus side part. Like it's so many trends are coming back like they always do. It's like, so that's good for the young generation, but it's also not so long ago that an older generation can't be like, I remember. No, I do remember. That's when our Romeo is about when our kid went off to college. So I can remember like a couple years back and all of that. And so it just felt like a good way to cover both of those bases of getting a younger audience introduced to Shakespeare and seeing how human these characters are and how all these guys are like them. And also having an older audience able to look back with fondness on like, oh yeah, remember the world like this, and hoping that, because at the crux of the story is about how, hate can like extinguish love if we allow it, right? Because hate is loud and love is like, because love is humble and hate is arrogant. Like, hate is like, I know who you are and what to think about you, and love is, I want to get to know everything about you. And so I feel like to get the story, we have to make sure everyone is seeing, hey, no matter the time and no matter the reason, hate always leads to harm, and love always leads to discovery. And so I wanted to make sure that the setting would only highlight that part of the story and wouldn't be just to try to eliminate the challenges of older clothing and like, hey, look, it looks new, or trying to, run away from the challenges of using the modern sensibility of being like, well, no, like you can't do that because this is 2003-ish, so like people didn't do high fives that way. They would have done, like, no, it's gonna matter that if someone's gonna be like, that's not, or no, we can't choose that song. Even in pre-show and interlude, I was like, no, we can't. We have to from the beginning make sure it's music
that's cool.
Like make sure that everyone is saying like, oh yeah, I'm not hearing a Chapel Roan song. Or I'm not hearing anything from now. Everything is about a time before, so that when you connect to the story, it feels like, but that still feels like now. It's like, yeah, because we haven't changed. Fashion changes, technology changes, but humans for the past couple of thousand years are like, no, yeah, we're about the same. We're terrible and we're great and we're all those things. And we're always like, you know what, we should go to war again. And then the artists always come out to go, remember last time you went to war, it wasn't good. And so feels like a good time to be like, let's try to make people feel nostalgic, because whenever you feel lost, I feel like it's best to go back to a time that felt more secure. And anytime you're like, oh, what has happened? It's like, well, remember this? There was bad then too, and you don't think about it, right? You think of all this good. That will be this time too, as long as we focus on the love. Like that's
cool.
What's gonna is the hope. Cool. Is the hope. I know. I get self-conscious as an artist that you sound pretentious but that's what we all, when we all come artists, we did it because something in art changed us. And so we know it works. And so this play changed me when I first read it. It was like, oh my, first Shakespeare play I ever read.
Oh, no kidding.
And it's like, read it in high school in 2003. That was a coincidence though. It wasn't until I got asked to like write my director's note, and one of the things was like, when did you first encounter the play? I was like, oh, my freshman year of high school. We had to read it in English class. What was that? I was 2000. Oh, I said it at the time that I discovered it. Interesting.
Cool. That's cool.
Right, and I was like, well, that's cool. Let me try to get some of that out of there. But it made me feel like, oh, if this, as a play this old can still connect to me at 13, 14 years old, like, then I really am not alone, right? Like, there are other people like Like, I want to be like this. This feels like me. And I think that's why we all read books, or you read Lord of the Rings, because some of those you're like, oh, this feels human, and I read and so art can do good. And it's like, if any kids just watch this and feel like they want to talk to someone, we've done our job. If anyone does this and wants to stop picking on a kid, like, we've done our job. Those little things are what change the world. And especially when it's so easy to get online and be faceless and be awful. We can't attack your social, like, the internet's not real. We have to go for your actual heart. We have to make you want to not do that. We can't attack the behavior. We have to attack the person. The person is the thing that needs to be changed. And art can do that. And so all that because I felt self-conscious about talking about art this way. So I just had to get that out there in case anyone was thinking like, these are, it's like, but yes, we all have movies and music that changed us.
Yeah.
And I want everyone who comes to the show to have the possibility of being changed.
That's beautiful. I mean, it's funny. I feel like it's a weird thing that I've always been reluctant to self-apply the term artist, because
Really?
I feel like it can encourage narcissism. I've seen it encourage narcissism.
Exactly.
But if you try to find another word, or you try to phrase it more simply, you actually sound more pretentious. Like if you go, oh, I'm a storyteller, people are like, sure, you know what I mean? I work in the theater. Oh, okay, you work in the theater. So I'm like, okay, artist, that's fine.
Right, because we all have to be multi-hyphenate anyway, so it's like, well, we all, which brings us to, we can segue right out of that. From, actors, directors, you play music, right? We are people who, like, we see the world through an artistic lens.
It's really interesting to research Two Gens, because it has this reputation for kind of endorsing intensely chauvinistic behavior. And a lot of people will say, oh, that play's a mess, or oh, it doesn't make any sense, or the ending is so rushed, and all this stuff. But it was fascinating to read because so the premise of the play, the philosophy of the play started, don't worry, this is not as boring as it's going to sound, I hope. It started in ancient Greece, which was this idea that was espoused by some philosophers, I don't remember, who said that male friendship, as long as it was platonic and with someone you weren't related to, was the highest form of human connection, second only to the connection you had with God. And this philosophy was picked up by incels throughout the centuries and kind of championed. And it became like a myth, so they started using it. And the story that Two Gens is based on shows up in the Decameron, which is like the Italian version of the Canterbury Tales. And then that story got picked up and was put into this book called Book of Governor, or Book of the Governor, I can't remember. But it was changed a little bit, not very much. And it was used under the regime of Henry VIII as like this is what it means to be a gentleman. This is what it means to be a man's man. And what's worth remembering is that Henry VIII, his regime, of course, persecuted Shakespeare's father for being Catholic. We have records of that. And that this idea that male friendship was the most, second only to the one you had with God, would have been literally beaten into him at school. So it could be that this play is like, yeah, I'm all for that, but from what I know of human nature, that's not where I put my money. Particularly since Shakespeare's hero as a teenager was Christopher Marlowe, who was against everything. So I think this play is meant to be a satire of that idea, and is supposed to be shocking, and is supposed to be, for lack of a better term, controversial. And again, I think what's worth noting is it wasn't popular at the Globe. It wasn't where it was really popular was the court of Queen Elizabeth, who I doubt would have been like, yeah, let's go see a play where it's like, men are great, women not so much. I don't think that would have been Elizabeth's cup of tea, you know what I mean? I just don't.
So she must have been like, dumb boys.
Yeah, I think so, because it's wild to me that that's everyone's reaction to the play, that both of these dudes are morons, and that they assume that's not intentional by the same person who wrote Hamlet. Like, why would you assume?
It's like when you watch Anchorman, the whole point of the movie is this man is going through incredible lengths to not share the news with a woman.
Yeah.
Like, like that, but we don't think about it because he's ridiculous. He's walking around half naked drinking milk. Like, that's... Be like, if you were like, this is teaching us bad things, you'd be like, no, you shouldn't be learning anything from you should be reflecting on like, what are some of my held norms about women or men that I could let go of.
And I think there's also a weird penchant now, and I get it. I get it because one should be wary of this. But I think there is a strange penchant that now they go, oh, if you talk about something in a play, in a story, in a song even, that means you're endorsing it. And it's like, no, we need to talk about these things because that's how we recognize the behavior in others or in ourselves. Like, you need to hear the story with the Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf so that you can recognize the many big bad wolves in your life, none of whom are lupine. You know what I mean? Like, you need to start and story. That's the point of story. So again, I feel like
the boy has to get eaten by the wolf.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Hey, those are consequences to people not being allowed to trust you. Like all of those,
and I think Two Gents is about that. I think my hope is when young people see it, they kind of go leaving going, yeah, none of those. There are no gentlemen of Verona. And I think that's the point of the play. I think you should leave. Hey, it'll make you laugh because it is funny. But I think you should leave kind of pissed off, actually. And hopefully in your life, then I don't know. I believe every human being is an ocean. And we all in us have a drop of everything, right? You have a drop of Romeo, Juliet, Othello, Iago, everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just a drop, And I think these plays help you kind of recognize those things, and by recognizing, one hopes you can reconcile them. But again, so with Two Gents, I'm like, no, the ending was the difficult part for us as a group to tackle, but it's such a nice group that we did. But it's and I would be worried if it wasn't difficult. If everyone was like, oh no, this makes sense, I'd be like, I got sociopaths in the room, I'm a little worried. But no, so it's been fun.
Please don't miss Romeo and Juliet.
Or Two Gentlemen of Verona.
On stage at the Blackfriars Playhouse, the world's first recreation of Shakespeare's indoor playing space where we do it with the lights on, playing now through November 16th.
And before or afterwards, get a drink or a bite at the Junction. Toast with water, which I think is bad luck, but whatever. Let's not do it.